welcome back. So I'm just going to show you a few things, right? So we've made a few changes. They're just very small changes that I've obviously overlooked when I was building, because obviously I've moved systems over quite a few times. So these old things I've still stayed, and they were fine back then, but now with these new systems, they've obviously arising problems. Now, before it was what? It was like number of items? No, now it's not filled 0. Which is essentially the first, so whenever we remove an item, right, we say, okay, that slot's not filled anymore. Because we have the ID of that slot, that means that we can actually, like, say, okay, your number item, you're equal to this slot. But because of that, we should just say the inventory ID is equal to that slot, instead of saying it's equal to the number of items, which was causing this weird freaking error, as you were seeing, where it was like, removing the wrong items. Another problem was under the cell function, I believe. Yeah, it was this here, is that you meant to get the inventory ID instead of getting the item ID. I believe that was an old system, definitely. But if we now buy this, and then we buy this, we'll see that now 0 copy does have an inventory ID and blind of 0, and 1 has an ID of 1. Everything else is 0. So now if we click these, we should be able to sell them off like that. Now you may say, it should like make them all not grey. We might as well do that. That's a pretty good functionality to have. So we will say sprites.color is equal to color.white. That will make them all white, which is pretty what we want, pretty much. So if we select a bunch, then we press sell, it will make them all white again. I did have this little debug log just because I couldn't find out what it was. So we will do that now. Don't think it goes fast enough. Now let's continue. So now there's another error. Let me show you it. I buy a new item, or a built-into item. If I try to buy another version of it, it works. Oh, okay. It must have been that old error that was stuffing everything up. But it works now, and there's no errors. So, see how simple that was? Like, it seemed like, oh my gosh, I even said in the video, this is going to take me 20 hours. I looked into the code and then spent a little while tracking errors. So essentially what you do is you do something called a process tree. And I want to do this one day with you, where I'll probably do more of a vloggy video where I'll actually draw up a process tree. And I didn't draw up, actually did draw up one this time, just on a small notepad, but like not what I normally would do. And normally what you do is you normally want to have a process tree for every single thing you have. And you want to say, if I buy an item, what happens? Well, let's have a look. So, under the item data, no, shop data, sorry, we say buy item. Okay. What does this require? This requires us to have a current item, and that's it. Okay. So then we look at buy item. What are we doing? We're checking we have enough slots. Well, we gotta look at that. Is there a slot problem? Is that it? So we may add like a little debug saying how many slots do you have, and we can look and go, okay, well the slots are mismatching. Then we go, okay, well that's fine. We'll say it's fine. Leaving that it says mismatching. We'll say that's fine. Now we're checking whether or not you have enough gold, right? Whether or not, yeah. And then there may be a problem with that. But what else do we require? You know, we do require gold here. We also require final price. So that requires update database. See what I'm saying? See how this problem seems a lot bigger? Yeah. I mean, like, and update database requires items, and items require up here, and this is a big bundle of connected junk. You don't need this debug. Obviously, add the item and remove the gold. Pretty simple. Now, I'm going to go over this in my series, and I really want to go over this a lot better. But essentially, the problem with just saying copying, going, okay, well, we have a list of a database of items, and we're just going to copy one item to the next and go, kind of copying them across. The problem with that big system is simply that it's quite, I'm not going to say quite weak, but it means that all items essentially are the same. So when you change one item, all other items will change if you are all basing it from the same database. Now, I mean, if you had an overarching database and you weren't modifying that database whenever you were changing items, and you were modifying like a less overarching, for example, if I had a bigger database than this, so this source is listed all my shop items, but if I had a massive database of all items, that could work, which is what some people do. I obviously have not done this, which is one of the problems. But that's fine. So what this get type does is it basically says, it essentially goes through every item we ever have, every script. And it says, is there any script with the name that has this? Yes. We'll create a whole new instance of it. And that whole new instance is going to be an item. And then we're going to move our gold. But that requires our final price. So the big problems here is final price. Make sure there's not anything wrong with the number of items and the length, obviously, of the item panels. And then this is another big problem. Make sure that other name and the require system is working. Make sure we actually have requirements working. Make sure that like all the whole requirement system works. Remove string item. I'm pretty sure I did this on camera. If I didn't, I'll show you now. It's pretty simple. We're getting integer and we're checking whether or not it actually exists. We're just saying to -1. I'm really 100% sure I did this on camera. And we're going through each inventory slot. And if our inventory slot is equal to the item name, then we just equals it. Then we just like take a copy of it, and then remove it. Now, you could argue what's the problem with this. You could say what's the problem with this. Well, the problem with this is that it will take the last item in the list. And also, it will go through it one or two more slots than necessary. Now, I want to do a little try test. So I want to see, can you guess what would be the best way to fix this? Now, I believe we can't use a break. Yeah, we can use a break. That's how you actually do it. Because returns won't work. Because returns basically exit the whole void function, where breaks will exit a loop or for, and or while or whatever, as well as switches. So what this will do is it means that it will now select the first item it comes across, which is what we want. Maybe you want last, then you don't want that break. It also means it won't be checking through X number of items. So if it's the first item in the list of our inventories, it won't be checking through the other 5. That won't make any difference to performance. Maybe a frame. Nah, maybe if you had 100, let's say if you had 100 items, you can make a difference. Maybe over the 100 items, you can maybe make up to maybe 2 or 3 frames, maybe. But it's so little, it's not, no, not even 2 or 3 frames. Oh man, it's like maybe 0.1, like milliseconds a thread or whatever. Oh man, maybe that? Even less? It's so small. You're not going to be seeing any difference, but it's kind of nice, because it could speed up the thing. It means that you're not doing so much processing. Now, LoL have definitely changed the inventory system. I can tell, because I'm still playing some of the, the old maps and stuff, and you can definitely feel like sometimes when you buy something, it takes forever to load. It could be sending between client and shop. I mean, client and server, but not. That's it for this episode. I do kind of want to do a little bit more before I finish, because there's only 9 minutes in. I feel a bit bad if I stop it here. So but I will say that is essentially it. We're not going to do too much more. We're just kind of, we are just going to do a little bit of bug testing. So we're going to say, hey, well, this works. What if I buy one of these? Okay, the starting items go down. Good. Buy another one. Good. Exchange them. and good. If I sell them, they work. Now, this is gonna probably end within a minute or two, but I am gonna talk to you. Now, I was asked by someone over Skype, and he was asking, because he was having some problems, and I'm happy to help, and I really enjoyed helping. It was quite fun, because I needed a break from what I was doing. So essentially, one of the questions he asked was, he had a bunch of bugs, but he asked, well, are you going to add like a little system down here? Like a little taskbar that says, health items, attack, speed, movement speed, or attack speed, or critical strike, all that stuff. And you can click on these buttons and it'll sort all your items to that. So you'll only see all the attack speed items. And that won't affect your recommended, but it'll just kind of be a whole new section. You can do it really easily. And since every time you click it, now it won't be refreshing everything, you can do it super easy. You can make things static. You can even put them inside yourself. Now, I wouldn't suggest you doing that, but you could. I honestly don't like it because I feel it doesn't organize things properly, but maybe you do want it. Maybe if you only had one character in a game, maybe. That means you could organize them properly. Quite interesting. Now, another thing you may be wondering is, what's the spot here? Wasn't you going to do like a tree of all the previous? I think I'm just going to have I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's just a bit annoying to do right now, so I may not do it, but yeah, you can. Now, how do we do this taskbar down here? It's very simple. It's the same concept of recommended, so you don't need to change anything. For recommended scripts, we actually don't change too much. We just have a section for it. You won't have the same, but instead of just doing a single variable, as you see here, single parent, yes, we actually want to have a array of parents, and this array is quite simply an array, nothing more. Now, what this array will do, what this array will do is this array will just be a list of all the different selections you can have, and then when you just have a little function called switch, and you could even have an integer. I would actually suggest this. I would suggest, instead of having a little function, just do like my little mode system. Do you know how an update? I go, hey, if you mode, then you were saying this to active, so always saying to false, always saying to true. It's pretty little. We don't need a little function that does that. We can just do an update. I do suggest you do have a function, but hey. So what you can do is you can go every time you press the button, you can change the integer to a specific number. Maybe attack speed 3, health's 1, this is 3, 5, 8, 9, 12, doesn't really matter. And then each time you change it, obviously the next update function, you go, hey, this is different. And you can maybe have like a copy of it. Right, like they both probably should be, one should be public, and then you could just have a private copy. You could just see if they're not the same, and then you can do it. Otherwise, you don't need to touch it. So maybe you're saving a little bit of setting active, because unlike this, you will have to set every other one deactivated, otherwise it won't work. Because with this one, we only need one, because that one that we're setting active and unactive, we just put it at the very front. So when it's not active, the thing behind it is showing, but when it's active, it's showing. But when you're having multiple arrays, you can't do that. You just basically have to turn them off. It's not too hard. I can still even turn it off now. Like, I can even just have a little function that says parent1 dot parent game object active false, whatever. Doesn't matter. Still. And it's still the same as recommended. You just do the exact same as here. You can delete all if you want, and then you just kind of do the same idea. You're just getting the next panel and stuff like that. But the things you don't need to get this next panel, what essentially you're doing is just copy this, and then just have a for loop here. So we're going for each of the ones for like each of the different sections, attack speed, instead of attack speed. Then under attack speed, what we're doing is we're so you'd have to have 2 arrays obviously, but because you see you get this item set thing, you'd have the same kind of thing. But instead of having item set, you'd have a, where's my item set? Shop set, that's it. 7 shop set, you'd have like, I don't know, an hour set maybe, and then you don't need an item, and then you just would kind of, you get what I'm saying? I'm going to do this, don't worry, but like, it's not going to be now. I could probably start now, but I've been recording for quite a while, and it's 15 minutes, and it's not possible, and I'm so tired. I'm going to go and do a bunch of things, because I've done a lot of recording, and so yeah, obviously remind you guys that this is backlogged. I've only done 2 episodes backlog, but obviously the backlog's over, but this episode won't go up before I record the Explainer Moba, so if there's a blurring issue, I'll probably hold off on recording the Explainer Moba till tomorrow, and then I'll upload it on, I mean today's Friday, so I'll upload it Sunday, Good Sunday, whatever you want to call it, Easter Sunday, and that would be pretty good because I should be able to hold off till Saturday. So then, if there's any blurring issue within the first 5 hours, I'll be able to see. Yeah, so see you guys next time.